Thank you, Arben. Thank you for coming. So, to give you a quick brief on why we started this podcast and why we're calling it the Wolf's Byte, Byte with a BYTE, just so it's related to tech. And so, basically, we wanted to discuss a lot about the technology, evolving product management process, evolving development process. Because right now there is Web 2, there is Web 3, and a lot of new frameworks have come out, a lot of agile methodologies have modified. There is no unlike how it was 5 years back, there is no proper book that you follow for all the development process. So we wanted to give a perspective to the community, the founders, the product managers out there, developers out there, on how things are evolving with different product owners, different project managers, and different founders, how they are viewing this change in the evolving technology, as that's the market is basically towards that right now. Everybody is adopting digitally, and everybody is finding new ways to build a solution digitally. So that's the idea behind the podcast, Arben. And thank you so much for joining this. You're our first guest, and we're very happy to have you as our first guest. And it's really special.
It is my pleasure to be one of your first guests, Sid, and I'm happy to talk about the technology, the project management, and everything related with those.
Awesome, Arben. So before we start, to introduce to the audience about what you do and who you are, can you give us a quick brief?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Arben Pnishi. I live in Pristina, the capital city of Kosovo. So Kosovo is located in the southeast of Europe, in Balkans, and we are a small country. It's like almost 2 million people, and so in the capital city in Pristina, there are many tech companies now spreading and growing. So we are one of those, and I am a product operations manager at Vianova Health, which is a US company, and we built a software in Kosovo with our team, which is aimed for United States hospitals and patients, but we are also going through other countries like Turkey, Sweden, Ireland, and going like mostly worldwide. So also I am a co-founder of another tech company called Tenton. I am an iOS developer by background for many years, and I am dealing with partnerships with clients, doing project management and doing project definitions. So yeah, this is my background. I am on top of it, I'm computer engineer that deals with tech products.
That's awesome, Arben. That really gives us a good premise of what you know about a lot about these industry. Specifically, to start with, my first question about product management in general. So, as you know, we have this agile process, Scrum process, and Kanban models and sprint process. How has it evolved over the years, and what should be the one that project managers today should focus on? What should be that process, this is the thing that project managers should have on their mind when they take up a project?
Yeah, so just to start talking about agile and how it started. Well, it started with software development companies and methods to deliver higher quality code in less time, and later on it got adapted in other industries as well. So agile is based on a simple and direct set of rules and principles to make it at once compelling, broad-ranging, etc. So to make it easier for a product to be managed and to be delivered in the time. So we have many different types of agile. We have Scrum, then Kanban, etc. So one of other aspects of recently, which is growing right now, is DevOps. And it's going through automation, and it needs to be included in the process of the project management and the whole team. So the COVID that has hit now, it has opened some other areas that we need to think of and include them in the Scrum and project management. So like many companies, and we were working mostly in like office and face-to-face.
Right.
So there were like some cases, of course, that we were working remote, but that was only on some cases. So the situation has brought us to a point that we need to consider that now it's called like distributed Scrum.
Right.
So for example, when the team is partially remote or fully remote, and it's going to grow pretty fast, and it's like some analysis and some researchers say that in 2 years we're going to have like 90% of the teams will have a part of the team that is fully or partially remote. So that's a huge number, and in this case the Scrum adapts these changes, and they have the methodologies to maintain the remote work. But in this case, the project management should be the most important thing of the project. So it needs more effort to manage a project with a distributed team, which we have, for example, different time zones.
Right.
And
that's a huge challenge.
So the communication should be always on place, and everybody should take the responsibilities for their work. So the Scrum, the Agile is so each team takes the responsibility for themselves. So in this case now, every team member should take the responsibilities for their duties, and integrate and have like into it with the whole team.
Got it. Yeah, I think you're right. Like these days, the whole DevOps process, the idea is for each an individual developers to even take responsibility for their own task, rather than just everybody driving the team, because it's hybrid and distributed. That makes a lot of sense. So since you're working in the med tech space, so what's the future in the med tech space? I know there's COVID, and there are a lot of applications that are growing around diagnosis of applications, and generally there is this market wave that people disregard general data management applications like ERPs and normal systems. They kind of disregard the value of it because AI is more cool these days. So what is the actual future, real future in medtech? Is it the data? Is it the ERP and the systems? What do you think about
so as I mentioned, I'm working for quite a lot of years in the HealthTech, in digital health. And digital health and medtech are closely related. So medtech and healthtech. So medtech is for hospitals and how the equipments and everything that they use to treat their patients, and then healthtech is not necessarily related to a hospital, but it's that patients. It's like the software that the patients can use to take care of themselves, but then also it's connected with a portal to the doctors and nurses in the other end. So it's definitely the use of data, the use of NLP, AI, everything that will help hospitals and the doctors, nurses involved to diagnose. And right now is the most important thing for a patient is to find that he's having a disease, especially when we're talking about chronic diseases, that he's starting to have a chronic disease, and it's to prevent the disease rather than treating. Treating is of course a part of it, but it has already happened. So many companies now are working and super analyzing the data to prevent different types of diseases and have a better
treatment,
better treatment for the patients. And they are working in many aspects. For example, working with mental health and with lifestyle, with the actions that they do.
That's true.
We have many applications that for example, suggest you to have certain amount of water a day, and you can track it. So that's a part of to keep your body healthier. And then do certain moves. You have now many wearables, starting from Apple Watch,
even
Samsung
simple
Watch,
applications like what you said, simple applications like reminding to keep water also falls under the category of health tech and med tech, right?
So at the company, at Vienova Health, we have created a surround system where we get connected with many biometric devices, and then with many wearable devices that get that tracks the patient's movements.
Okay.
And then for example, let's say when a patient is with chronic disease, we focus on 3 M's. It's movements, meals, and medications.
Right.
So movements, it means that you have to be active, you have to do sports.
Got it.
Meals, you should take care of your body, what you eat. And then meds, of course, you need to take the medications at a certain time.
That's true.
And as I mentioned, this is when the patient is the disease has already taken part. So with the movements and with meals, it's with the process of when we are preventing the disease. And then once we have a disease, and we start with medication.
Got it.
Analyzing the data, now a lot of hospitals, they analyze the data for better diagnosis, for patient care, treatment, surgery. It's very precise at the moment. And now with the use of 5G, which is another infrastructure, a doctor from United States would be able to do a surgery in, let's say, in India or in other continent. Completely remotely, because the amount of data that can be transmitted at the same time is not limited for the devices that will use and do the surgery at the millimetric precision.
That's amazing. I think that gives
that's amazing
future of medtech and health tech in general. So as you mentioned, all the drivers, like right from AI, ML, everything is driving the health tech. And now what about Web3? This is a topic that we cannot avoid talking about when it comes to technology, with the recent boom in a lot of applications in Web3. Is there any link that actually Web3 can provide to in terms of health tech or in this industry in general? And how is it going? Where is Web3 going to be? And where is Web 2? Because Web 2 is the basic mobile app and web app development that we were talking about. So how is this change going to affect in general in the tech space?
So the Web 3, is going, everything will, we see now how it is going, and in every industry, the Web 3 is growing pretty fast. So it's going to grow also on the healthcare, health tech as well. So the data, which are very sensitive, then in this case, once you have the data as a patient, the hospital has a portal, receives every data from every patient. So this is centralized, and it goes to, in Web 2, this is going to one place, and the hospital owns the data, do a lot of analysis, and creates a method and sells that method and makes millions of it.
That's true.
So with Web 3, then you can decentralize this, and everybody is the owner of their own data. And once, let's say, for example, we have a big number of data that will be analyzed and then will be monetized in any type of a token based, then it can be shared throughout the whole, patients there. So we will see this growing pretty fast as well, and I'm looking into that direction with our colleagues at the meantime, that how we can integrate our platform into Web3.
That's amazing. I look forward to see your solution and also generally the solutions in health tech, because it's really interesting. I think that's a very true thing. As you said, currently the health patient record data is in a centralized repository, unlike wherein with Web3 we can, as you said, make each individual the owner of their own health data. That's definitely something to look at. Now, coming back
Right.
to product management, Arben. So, as a product manager, what was the most hardest moment for you? Like, you might have to be, you would have been put in a very tough situation. What would you describe that situation for you as a product manager, and how do you handle it? Because as a product manager, you have to handle the team, you have to handle the customer expectations, you have to handle the timelines, and you also need to make sure
Right.
the product quality is coming out good. So basically, you're like balancing a lot of things as a manager. So how do you handle that? And what was the situation?
That's a very good question. So every person that is in the middle of the development team and in the development team and the customer will have will face difficult situations at some time. So it's either because of the deadline, the time, which is very sensitive in many cases, and then when it's the requirements, if they fit correctly how the customer wanted. So it's very important for the man in the middle to get the requirements as clear as possible, and then transmit those to the development team, and then from the development team, once everything is written down, maybe prepare the wireframe or design, then present it to the customer that, hey, we will be doing this, right? Do you agree with this? And then once you start developing it, you make the whole structure of it, then the customer says that, okay, I want this small change, but in background, it changes a lot of things on your structure. So maybe, you say that you don't, fit anymore with what you presented. So you have to do calculation, and you have to give them another time and cost, which may not agree. And it's either you or them who has to, agree on sacrifices sometimes. So that is part of some difficult moments. But in other case, I wouldn't separate one from all of those. So it's part of the process, but sometimes it can get difficult for this person.
That's true. I think making compromises as a product manager is the hardest and I think most essential thing to do. Like, what do you trade off? Do I trade off the time, or do I trade off the quality? You need to take those decisions.
That's right.
That's right. So now I just have an interesting question. So, like, assume you had $1 million to invest right now. What industry would you invest in building a product, and why?
Okay, so very, very good question. So, not that I thought, because I never thought of having $1 million at the hand right now, but I'm thinking quite well right now. There are many things that, from my experience, I would invest in, definitely in the healthcare with.
So you still choose
combining healthcare, because it's for example, healthcare has a $6 billion revenue in a year, and then the same medtech. So it's a very large industry, and you can always improve some parts of the process. And I would definitely go with healthcare, going from like B to B to C, also getting the customers. So I would target hospitals, but also individual people as well. And I have a lot of ideas that I would combine with AI and definitely working with Web3 and decentralization.
That's awesome. I hope you do that and also get the $1 million to implement.
Yeah. So I got the idea now. It's one small thing needed.
We'll get there. Yeah. Now a last question of this podcast, and thank you so much for a lot of insights you shared us. So this question is, what would be that one message that you would tell your younger self as a developer or as a product manager, like 10 years? If you had the chance to make a phone call 10 years back and talk to yourself, what would you tell?
Yeah, I would say, hey, invest in Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm joking. So I would say that, it's, going back from years to years, we will always have difficulties. So I would say that enjoy the time and the good people around you. So enjoy the work and life. So have a balance of everything. So in many times I used to push myself a lot. So it's good to have a balance and to remind of that to appreciate the family, the friends, and life overall.
That's I think a very unexpected answer, but I think that's true. As a product manager or as a developer or as anybody, I think that helps your career a lot. Even though
at the end, we are all humans, and so we should not forget to be humans. Either we are building crazy stuff, we should not forget that.
That's true. Awesome. That was awesome, Arben. That was really, really awesome. I think you were great. Thank you so much for all the insight. And I think I would also tell the same to my younger self: buy that Bitcoin.
Okay, Sid. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you for this opportunity to talk. It was great. And
fun.
Looking forward to see also other people talking on the whole podcasts.
Definitely, Arben. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid, and have a great day.
Bye bye. Arben. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.